All right, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Tuesday night. We are officially into preview season. We have made it. It is officially week one of the NFL season. It's been a long time coming. We spent a lot of time doing a lot of stuff in the off season, whether it be draft prep or reviewing the draft picks, doing all the preseason, looking at the preseason watch parties. We did a watch party for Packers Broncos. That's a thing that happened. But we are back now, and now we have a full regular season week one preview, and we are going to preview the Packers and Eagles game in Brazil.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Welcome. It is week one for the Green Bay Packers and the NFL. Season starts in 2 days. That starts with the Chiefs and the Ravens. And the Packers' first game is the next night, the Packers versus the Eagles. So that'll be super exciting. We have a full crew today. Bryant isn't working on his snowmobile today. I was going to say something really mean, but never mind. I won't go there.
Simon's the one that needs the snowmobile.
I know. I wanted to roast Bryant today, but I'll be nice. I like Bryant today. Simon is here as well. We're going to talk some Packers-Eagles preview. Going to be a lot of fun. We're going to go over things that we are all covering. Going to be hyper-focusing on this year for the Packers, offense, defense, special teams, ins and outs, everything. How's everybody doing? I'll start with Simon because screw Bryant.
Okay. Well, you were going to be nice for a second.
That was a roller coaster.
No. I like Bryant.
I don't know what happened. I'm good, dude. Things are chilling up here, ready for football.
Yeah, that's all you can really do, right?
Yeah, that's all there is to do. Right?
Nothing much else.
Waiting
Bryant,
6 months out of the year.
I'm doing good. Had a good weekend, 4-day weekend. Had lots of, football drafts. Feel like I crushed my Wisco Fanatics one, so that should be good.
I don't know if Tyler agrees. Tyler, do you agree? Do you think he crushed
Honestly, I will say this and this isn't just to suck up to the people that follow our show very closely, but I think our league actually drafted pretty balanced for how it went.
Yeah. On my side, I feel like Simon stole all the running backs, so then I had to scramble for some running backs.
Hey, twinning.
I think I did good at wide receiver. I got a double up with Love and Reed, so I was pretty happy about that. But I feel like Simon was just like, screw it, I'm just going to starve you guys. I think you said that to me at one point, and I was like, all right, thank you for that. I appreciate it very much.
Exactly what I did, dude, for the first 4 picks for running back.
You guys just let them keep dropping. I was like, all right, I guess I'm taking another running back.
Yeah, I done my first 4 picks for running backs. I ended up with Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and Joe Mixon. So,
oh my goodness.
I mean, I started off pretty well. I mean, my first pick was Jahmyr Gibbs, and then I don't even remember who my second pick was. Yeah, already forgot. But then I got Jalen Waddle and Cooper Kupp in my 3rd and 4th round picks.
You got Puka.
No, I didn't get Puka.
I was super mad at Simon because he stole Jalen Waddle from me. I wanted him to fall back to me in the 2nd round, but or the 3rd round. But I had the 2nd overall pick, so I had to take
ETN. ETN was the other running back I got.
Oh, that's who Simon got too. Simon has a crazy team.
Connor said he got Rodgers. He really won. Ryan asked how Cheeseburger Dylan is doing. Unfortunately, he's on the injured list. So
yeah, that sucks.
Injured reserve. Baseball is injured list. I'm in baseball mode apparently.
Rodgers might have a good year. We don't know.
So before we jump into this, I want to say just 2 things. Firstly, the Packers-Eagles game, we are going to be doing a watch party on Patreon for this game. And I don't want to be one of those shows that's just constantly asking people for money. But this is one of those things where we are trying to do more content and trying to earn a little bit of money off of it to help us get to a point where we can do this show full time. That's really what the Patreon is for. We're just asking for $5 a month to do 2 Wisconsin sports watch parties a month and come watch the games with us. That's what we're doing on Patreon. And the more people that have, subscribe to it, the more of those that we can do. And we can expand on that and continue doing more content and being able to monetize it so that we can do the show full time, because that is our goal. But we need your guys' help. So I just want to say that firstly. We do have one coming out on Friday, so you can join us for that one on Patreon on Friday night. Other thing, this year we are switching. Last year we did everything on offense first. This year we are doing everything on defense first. So we're going to go through the defensive things. We have 7 topics spread among the 4 of us on defense. Then Bryant is going to cover special teams. I'm going to cover coaching. And then we have 7 topics on offense that we will recap all of those categories in. And then we're going to all collectively talk about Jordan Love before we move into the next week's preview. It just made a little more sense this year to do defense first, then special teams and coaching, and then offense, and then talk about Jordan Love instead of going offense, special teams, defense, and then going back to talk about Jordan Love. So this year we're doing defense first. So Simon, start us off. You weren't here last week, so I'm going to let you go first and talk about what you are watching for on defense on Friday night.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with the addition of Jeff Hafley in the offseason is how his scheme's going to look. If you looked at what he did in the preseason, it was very vanilla, a lot of cover 2, 3, 1. He kind of went all over the place and didn't really show his hand. So this will be our first opportunity to really look at what kind of scheme, what he can do with the defense. Jeff Hafley's history has a lot of like one high safety looks and a lot of one gap penetration, which is way different than what Joe Barry was doing. And just allowing the pass rushers to really get after Jalen Hurts.
Alrighty, Bryant, what about you? What are you watching for on the defense?
Yeah, so I'm going to be watching the linebackers and the tackling, really. So this game, tackling will be hugely important. So anyone that hasn't looked up the stats, 2 years ago, do you remember how many yards the Eagles rushed for us on? At the game that Jordan Love came in, do you remember what they had?
300 and something.
363 yards.
Yep.
Jalen Hurts ran for 157 yards on us that game. We
Remember.
will not win this game with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts running for that many yards. There's no chance. So with that being said, we have to have some sure tackling. It's going to be interesting to see from the linebacking group, who they use as a spy. Not to bleed into your guys' stuff, but I think it's possible. I'll get on a little more later, but I do think it's possible that a safety could be kind of using that role somewhat too. And then really it'll be interesting. Will it be Quay or, Cooper hasn't got to practice a lot. Unfortunately, he was limited today, which we'll get into later, but with his speed, do they put him out there for these kinds of plays, or just have Quay put on him? Because, Quay and Cooper are the ones with the speed that can do that. Yeah. McDuffie will probably be in the middle, trying to stop the run. So I'm kind of interested to see, if that's the case or if they play safety closer to the box or what they do. But 100% the tackling they cannot be missing a bunch of tackles and letting this team run wild, because otherwise there's no chance.
All right, Jake, what are you watching on the defensive side of the ball?
So I have a lot. That's basically all my topics. So I have pass rush. So last year I looked it up. The Packers ranked 20th in the league in pressure rate. So that's obviously something that we're going to be itching to see if that ups under the new regime of defense here. They rank 16th in total sacks, 2.6 per game. So we're going to need that to uptick as well, along with the pressure. That'll help everything, right? You look at the 3rd and 4th down defense. That's my next topic. In 2023, they allowed a 41.1%. That's 25th in the NFL. We're going to need that to get up in the upper half. They were very good on 4th down last year, 14 of 30 they allowed. That's 46.7%. You're going to be like, wow, that's not very good. But that was actually 8th in the NFL. I looked it up and I didn't believe it myself, but I was like, oh, interesting. One really stupid call by Detroit that we stopped. That was a good one. So then red zone defense, the Packers were top 10 in that one as well, 10th overall, actually. So I'll be looking at red zone defense, 3rd and 4th down defense, and pass rush. So really all the cool things that people look at the end of the game and be like, this is why we lost. So I got all the cool things on defense.
So, Bryant, I just went over to PFF and I looked it up. The Packers missed 165 tackles last year, which sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But if you divide it by the 19 games that they played last year, it's about 8.68 missed tackles per game. So we're looking at about 9 missed tackles a game. If they can get that down, even just to like 6 or 7.
What's the league average? Were you able to happen to see that?
I can't see that all at once. I'd have to go through them individually, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can look at the tackling grades. If I look at the grades, the Packers were the 14th graded tackling team. So, I mean, we take PFF grades with a grain of salt. But like I said, even if they go up just, say, 3 points on their grade, that would take them from 14th to 9th.
I just recall that I feel like I recall them missing several tackles on Jalen Hurts that turned into big runs in that game.
Yeah. Well, that would have been.
It was 2 years ago, but I'm pretty sure I can recall that happening. So, and Quay did play that game. He did have 11 tackles when I went back and looked at it or something like that. So, I think he'll be hugely important. I think the safeties will be hugely important. And I think, Cooper or Eric, Wilson will be pretty important.
Their tackling grade in 2022 was 13th. So they've been middle of the pack for the last 2 years.
Before we go too far, we keep talking about the Packers' new defensive coordinator. The Eagles also have a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. So that will be a battle of the new OC, Kellen Moore, and he has experience in the NFL, obviously, versus Jeff Hafley in his first ever NFL game as a DC. So that'll be something interesting to watch unfold as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They also have a new defensive coordinator too.
Yep.
Who Matt LaFleur historically had pretty good success against, to be honest, Vic Fangio type defenses. So
yeah.
But I don't want to get into anyone's stew there if they're looking to talk about that. So
that point is going to reflect in my score predictions. So we'll get to that in a little bit. For me, I have just one defensive topic this year. I have the defensive line. So for this game on Friday night, what I'm going to be watching on the defensive line is, one, to see who the starters are. Obviously, Kenny Clark is going to be the starter, but I'm interested to see if Devontae Wyatt or TJ Slayton is going to start next to him. And then after that, how quickly substitutions come in and how often they rotate. And then between guys like Carl Brooks, Lucas Van Ness, Colby Wooden, probably not Rashawn Gary, but even Preston Smith, if any of those guys move to the inside and they try to put extra pass rushers on the field. So I'm really going to be seeing what the 4-man front actually looks like and how many guys are moved around across the defensive line. And then just overall to see what the Eagles offensive line looks like after the departure of Jason Kelce, how much that actually affects them. And obviously it's going to be a 1-week sample size when we see it. So it could be that the Packers played really well against the Eagles offensive line, or it could be that the Eagles offensive line misses Jason Kelce, or both things can be true at the same time. So it's going to be a 1-week sample size. So we just have to make sure that we're not going to, let's say the Eagles offensive line really struggles and the Packers put up like 6 sacks. We just, as excited as we'll be, and I promise we will be next Tuesday, but we just have to make sure that we keep it optimistic and realistic.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Eagles have a really stellar offensive line. So.
Yeah.
But still, losing arguably the best center in the game is going to do something to you. We'll see. Okay. So Bryant has special teams again this year. So Bryant, what are you watching for on special teams on Friday?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to watch, really. If you listen to Rich Pasasha, he did say that it'll be Jaden Reed and Nixon back there for returning kicks, which is pretty exciting. Both of them have a lot of experience. It's like, okay, if you want to kick away from Nixon, I guess give it to Jaden Reed, who's also very explosive. Everything we saw in preseason, pretty much in every single game, was vanilla. I'm really interested in watching the Thursday night game to see if we see anything, because you're thinking about, Andy Reid and Harbaugh. Both of them are very savvy coaches. So if they're going to dial something up, that's a huge game. Just like the Packers, Eagles is a huge game. The Ravens in Kansas City, when you talk about the grand scheme of things at the end of the year, is a huge game. So if they're going to take something out of their bag and use it, they might as well use it now, because that's one of the most important games for the season for them. And I can make that argument for us, at least early on. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to watch that game to see kind of strategies. Are they just kicking it out of the end zone the entire time? Are you seeing any kind of end arounds? Are you seeing any kind of trickery? Any, line drive kicks to try to really pin them? So it's going to be pretty interesting to watch that. And then, of course, our kicker, Narveson. It sounds like Matt LaFleur at first said, well, it's going to have to be in the back of my mind what we do on 4th downs. Well, then it comes out that he's like, well, he's earned my trust. I didn't see if he kicked today, but I know so far kicking with them, he was like 10 for 11. hit a 58-yarder, a 59-yarder, and then he missed, or maybe it was 56 and 59, and the only miss was like a 51-yarder, but then he came back and hit a 53-yarder. So this guy, you know, I was worried about his numbers in college, but when you actually delve deep into it, 45 and in, he was 85% kicker. So that's better than what Carlson was. So he's a little more 45 and in. Preseason with the Titans, he was very good. So we'll see how that, you know, if it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, you know, are we going for it more? Or are we just going to trust our kicker and take the points? Because, you know, we'll see what happens.
Send it. Got an early Simon Says for you. Justin has a hot take that the Packers get the first kickoff return for a touchdown with the new rule in place.
That'd be so sick.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch over to the offensive side of the ball. Now, Simon, you have some offensive topics. What are you watching for from the offense on Friday?
Sure. A lot of it, I have the tight ends and the run game. I think a lot of it is going to be how, for the tight ends, it's going to be how often we use 2 tight end, maybe even 3 tight end personnel, and between Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave, who's out snapping who. Because I feel like after Musgrave went down with his, what was it, a kidney?
Laceration.
Kidney laceration. That's what it was. Last year, Tucker Kraft really kind of came into his own. So I'm interested to see how the snaps are shared between those two. Because, I mean, both of them looked pretty good towards the end of last year. And same in the run game. It sounds like Lloyd had the day off today per the plan to get him back from his hamstring injury earlier in camp. So we didn't really get to see a lot of him. And with Dylan out, it looks like Emmanuel Wilson's going to be our RB3. So it'll be interesting to see if Lloyd gets many snaps due to him not playing in the preseason, and seeing how much maybe Wilson will get a lot of those early snaps in like the first couple weeks while they get Lloyd going.
If you have Josh Jacobs in fantasy, start him this week.
Yeah. I don't like Philly's front seven is they're aging or like have gone out of like Fletcher Cox isn't there, I don't think anymore. Or they're just like old.
Yeah, but Jalen Carter and Josh
Devin White,
Jordan Davis are pretty good too. So and they signed Devin White. So
I don't really care about Devin White, to be honest with you.
He's
I don't
just
think
fast, though.
He's okay.
So, I mean, like, we know the Eagles usually have, like, a decent defense, but Josh Jacobs is going to be involved in the run and the pass.
Yeah.
So, Brian, what are you watching for on the offensive side of the ball this year?
All right, so my topics are going to be wide receiver development, which is exciting after last year, and then offensive line. So, going into the wide receiver development, all 5 of the wide receivers, really the main ones, even Malik Heath, have all showed that they belong on an NFL roster. Even DeBose, who more came out and he got cut and he ended up on a roster. So all these wide receivers showed they end up on, or they belong on a roster. So can these, the wide receivers, the second-year wide receivers, take another step? And early in the season, right? Dontavian Wicks really started to come on strong. Can he continue that? Jaden Reed, he was pretty solid throughout the entire season. One of our more healthy wide receivers for the most part. But I think Wicks and Reed will end up being huge parts of this offense. You guys see my stat projections. I think Reed will have the most targets out of the entire offense. The Eagles secondary is very suspect last year. They gave up the second most passing yards at 252 yards a game, and then over 65% completion and 35 touchdowns, right? I know they have a different defense coordinator, but a lot of the players are still the same. They did draft 2 highly talented rookies that all of us really liked, and that would be Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. So, but they are rookies, and they can make rookie mistakes. So I expect Matt LaFleur to scheme up some open plays. Just need Jordan Love to deliver the ball on time, and need the wide receivers to catch it. I do think that throughout the year they'll be a big part of this offense, and I think this game they have a chance to have a big game. And then for the offensive line, I'm looking forward. I'm pretty excited to see what they do at right guard. I have a feeling there's going to be a rotation like we've seen last year. However, I don't know that they're going to do it this game, because we just talked about their defensive front, the Eagles' defensive front. We might not do it this game because they might just roll with Sean Ryan and let Jordan Morgan continue to get a little healthy and get in there. We'll see though. The Packers offensive line are going to have their hands full. We talked about it. They lost Hassan Riddick, which great trade by them in hindsight, and Fletcher Cox. They're still really very talented. They signed Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff is a pass rush specialist. That's it. But after he had 10 sacks, he had 19 total tackles. So he's not doing a whole lot. So if I'm the Packers, I'm probably running at Bryce Huff if he's in the game on running downs or running opportunities. But then they also have Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, and Jordan Davis, who are pretty talented as well. And we kind of talked about Devin White. I do think Devin White, he's been up and down, but he did have 2.5 sacks, 2 interceptions last year. But he's just quick and can get to the hole quickly and stuff to run. So, but the offensive line, I think, will have their hands full. But this will be a good test for him.
For sure. Jake, what do you have left on offense?
Yeah, I have 3rd and 4th down offense. So in Badger talk, I talk about the offense and defensive line. So I'm the line god over there. And then for the Packers, I'm 3rd and 4th down on both sides of the ball. So I found some interesting things when I was looking this up. First of all, when I looked it up, the Packers ended up 3rd in all of football. Oh no, I apologize. They were not 3rd. They were 3rd over the last 3 weeks of the season. So when they really got things going, they were completing over 60% of their 3rd downs. So they were ending up in 3rd and shorts. What do you think happened during that time? They started running the ball. Aaron Jones was going crazy. They were getting in 3rd and manageables a lot. So when I looked it up, I wanted to see how many first downs they got running the ball. They got 29.2% of their first downs were running the ball. That was 20th in the NFL. This is why I'm so high on Josh Jacobs, because he is going to get them in position to pick up 3rd downs, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 1s, and he can get that by himself. Or the Packers can roll out play action, get me and Tyler a little bit excited while watching a football game, and they can bomb it deep to the tight end, to Christian Watson, to Dobbs. I mean, they could throw it to anybody deep, really. But getting yourself in the 3rd and manageable is going to be a really big thing. They were 5th in all football in receiving touchdowns, by the way, at 56.4%. So I think I want that number to go down. I want the rush first downs to go up, and that will help the 3rd down percentage, help the touchdown percentage, which will help the defense. So let's just run the ball a little bit better, boys. That's what Josh Jacobs is here to do. So hopefully that's what happens.
I think that shows how grossly good Jordan Love was last year too.
Yeah,
good.
When the run game was going well.
Yeah, and he only threw 1 interception over the last 9 weeks, and really it was the last this is off the top of my head. I'll say the last 6 weeks where Aaron Jones was really just not a human being for 6 straight weeks, where he was just on another planet.
Yeah,
and you saw how good this offense was for a month and a half, and it was like, whoa. This is what it looks like when we run our offense and we run the ball and we do play action and misdirection, and wow, that's insane.
Yeah. So on the offensive side of the ball this year, I have 2 topics. I'm sticking with passing game distribution, something I covered last season, something that I was really excited to keep track of last year, and something that I kept very good track of was that Jordan Love targeted 7 pass catchers or more in every single game. There was not a single game where Jordan Love targeted fewer than 7 players. 7. That's an absurd number to do that through a 17-week season and 2 playoff games.
I wonder if any other teams done
crazy
that.
Number.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good question, Simon.
I'm about to look it up.
I don't know if that. I feel like you'd have to dig into each game. I don't know if someone's actually tracking that stat. It'd be interesting.
Bro, they're tracking how many boogers people pick, man. They got to be tracking that.
Okay, so for that, on the passing game distribution, I am going to be looking to keep seeing the ball spread around. And then from there, I would be interested to see what the snap counts look like, to see if between the top 4, because those are the guys that we're all talking about, between Watson, Dobbs, Reed, and Wicks, how the playing time is spread among those 4. If it's like a 25, 25, 25, 25 of snaps for all of them, and they add up that way, if they're rotating them in that often, or if there's, Watson and Dobbs are the starters and they're playing 60% of the snaps, and then Reed and Wicks are playing, 40% of the snaps, something like that. So I'm going to be very interested to see what the snap counts look like for the 4 main wide receivers as far as the passing game distribution is concerned. And then right away, let's see if we can get Josh Jacobs his first career receiving touchdown. He's like in his 6th year in the league, so see if we can get that monkey off of his back. I'm sure he would enjoy that. And Justin said that's why we don't need a wide receiver 1, and that is absolutely true. It only makes things harder for opposing defenses to try to keep up with these things, is that they don't have one guy that they can just go, oh, we'll stop him. The Packers have multiple guys. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that snap count and the passing game distribution looks like. The other thing that I have on the offensive side of the ball is the red zone offense. So the Packers last year were 17th in red zone touchdown percentage at 53.42%. So my goal for 2024 for the Packers is going to be in the top 10, which would require them to be at 59.62% or higher. So I'm looking for about a 7% increase in red zone touchdown efficiency. So that's what I'll be watching for the Packers in their red zone offense starting on Friday.
I do know their goal to go conversion rate was disgustingly high, though. I think they're highest in the NFL or something like that.
It was. So I know I looked this up at points last year that they were like number 1 from the 10 and in. And they were like number 20 from the 10 to the 20-yard line. And like it balanced out and it made them like middle of the pack.
I thought it was like 90-something%. Some like crazy.
Yeah. Inside the 10, they were like almost automatic. But from the 10 to 20, they struggled. I know I talked about it last year.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
So we're going to talk about Jordan Love, which is obviously part of the offense, but he's going to be our transition point again, like he was last year. So Simon, what are you going to be looking for from Jordan Love starting on Friday?
I think the biggest thing when we roll into the season, are you talking about specifically this game?
This game and this season. So
okay. I'll start with the season. I think most people want to see if he can consistently be the guy, because there was a lot of obviously inconsistency in like the first half of the season where some games he played pretty well and other games where it was like, what is going on? So I'm looking for a lot more consistency in his game, which I think he's going to do. I honestly have him probably in the MVP conversation this year. And for this game, I really like Jordan Love's chances versus this secondary. I think they're really young, and with a lot of our guys, all our guys from offense coming back, it's just another year of development together. And I feel like Jordan Love is absolutely going to kill him this game. I think I could see him. I'm not going to roll into what I think he's going to do yet, but I think he's going to have an extremely good game.
All right, Brian, what are you watching for from Jordan Love?
Yeah, I just want to see if I don't know that he'll pick up exactly where he left off, because those last 9 games were insane. Like that pace, that's like MVP plus pace. Yeah. Best quarterback in the NFL pace, you'd argue, if he did that for a game. But I expect him to come out and be more or a lot closer to that level than he was at the beginning of last year, obviously, because of the experience. I expect him to be getting this team into the right position to succeed. These players aren't young anymore. He has a year in the system pretty much with everyone on that team except for offensive line, and that's if Jordan Morgan rolls in. Otherwise, it's complete, players that he's played a year with. So I expect them to kind of, or aside from Josh Jacobs, but I kind of expect them to get going right away. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I mean, he's a good enough quarterback. He's shown that we essentially, unless our defense completely falls off the face of the earth or something for a game, we should be in the position again where it was kind of like when we had Aaron, we were in the position to win pretty much 95% of ball games we were in. So I'm really expecting to see that, and I'm expecting to see the consistency, just a higher, the completion percentage around 66, 67, like that. Like not too many of these really bad 3-and-outs that we've seen for stretches of time during the regular season, early in the season and stuff like that. I expect us to be, I expect him to lead us to being a top 10 offense, because I think that we have all the potential in the world to be that.
Yeah. Jake, what are you watching for from Jordan Love?
So when you watch Jordan Love, if you go back and you're a psychopath and you watch all the games in the first half of the year and you put yourself through that pain twice, and then you watch him the second half of the year, it really felt like you were watching two different quarterbacks. And the thing that flipped for me was the confidence and the swagger that he was carrying himself with. The first couple of weeks, it felt like, Romeo Doubs, obviously, when he caught that touchdown against the Saints, and he was putting up the hard hands, and it felt like people were trying to pump him up to let him know that, yeah, we're following you. You're the leader. We're following you. You be the leader. And then there was a moment in time during last year where the flip just switched on for him. And then he really was that guy. And he was walking with swagger. And he was putting his shoulder down, and he was meaning to run your ass over. So I hope that he just continues that and he ticks it up just a notch, because the Packers, they believe in him and they backed the Brinks trucks up. They paid him. They believe in him. And him getting that payday should be all the confidence in the world that he needs to know that he is the man in Green Bay, in Titletown, as we go for number 5. I'm so sick of talking about going for number 5. Let's go get this motherfucker. I'm ready to go. Jordan's going to lead us. I feel good about it, man. So he's the leader. He's got to lead with swagger. That's what this team responds to. So let's go get it.
I like it. Simon and Bryant, between the two of you guys talking about it, what I'm hearing from you guys is you want to see that he is more the player that we saw in the second half than the player that we saw in the first half. And I think that's something that a lot of Packer fans have, you know, whether it be doubt or not wanting to have hopes up, or, you know, not thinking that he's worth the contract that he was given, just
It's more
wanting
of that.
to see that he is closer to the guy he was in the second half than he was the guy in the first half.
Yeah. And you know, if he does struggle a little bit, people are going to, you know, be riding him and saying a bunch of stupid stuff. I can't believe they include him as MVP or blah, 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 blah. We do have a tougher schedule. We have like the 5th toughest schedule or whatever it was on paper in the league this year. So it's going to be tough. This is a huge game starting right off. So that's where I'm hoping, you know, he just kind of picks up where he, not necessarily exactly where he left off, but hey, that would be great. But I expect us to be in this football game for sure. And I expect him to be leading us and not making, like, he shouldn't be making rookie mistakes anymore. The one thing he definitely needs to improve on is I feel like there was a few times that, you know, especially like San Francisco, when he threw that interception, that ball didn't need to be thrown because it was like first down. I think he did it against, he was either Denver or Raiders. He threw an interception like a first, second down, trying to get down the field. Like those kind of things. Those are plays I want to see him now throw away. And okay, we still have a second, third, and fourth down to live and try to get this game or whatever. So those are where I'm kind of looking for a little bit of improvement, a little bit of step up in his mentality and his awareness on the game.
So the Packers actually have the 22nd highest schedule. Apparently it's tougher last year than it is this year.
It's probably adjusted or something, because I know we were on some list for the 5th highest.
I just literally just Googled it and just clicked the second thing that popped up. But
yeah.
Justin said Jordan Love, humble swagger. Hey, honestly, if he's playing well, feel it.
Yep.
As far as Jordan Love is concerned, and for any concerns that anybody has, I take more confidence in the fact that his better half of the season was the second half of the season. That to me implies that there was something in the middle of the season, like Jake said, with a switch being flipped, that there was something figured out, whether it be confidence or just experience, whatever it may be, that was figured out around that week 9-10 area. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, he looks dominant in most of these games. And then just really good in the other ones. If it had been the other way around and he was really, really good in the first half of the season and then struggled the second half of the season, then I would understand a little bit more of the doubt and concern. But with it being that he was good in week 1, then kind of questionable for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then dominant, like MVP level for the second half of the season, I feel pretty confident that it wasn't, you know, a situation where he played really well, he had tape, people figured him out, and then he played poorly. With it being the other way around, I think I have a lot of confidence in Jordan Love.
Yeah,
what
you
I'm
make a good
specifically
point
going to be looking for.
You make a good point about the tape too. Sorry, real quick, is that they do have more games on now too, so it's going to be interesting to see what they throw at him and how he responds.
Yeah, and we saw him succeed against good teams. Obviously, he was playing well in the playoffs as well. You know, say what you will about the 49ers game, but he had them in position to win that game. So, obviously, we saw a Cowboys game. That was just fantastic. Everybody loves that. I'd love to see it again.
Aaron Jones killed him, too.
Annual tradition.
Yeah.
For me specifically, I'm going to be looking for Jordan Love to make good decisions, obviously. But what I really want to hone in on for Jordan Love this season, for me specifically to watch, I want to see how he moves things around pre-snap. We saw some instances where he was doing really good jobs of moving guys around, using some motions, even doing some of the quick stuff that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams used to do, where they would just move him across the formation, see that there's one zone coverage corner on a side with 2 wide receivers, and just quickly throw the ball to Devontae with a lead blocker.
Yeah.
So if he can take advantage of some of those things that he sees pre-snap, that's going to be something that I watch to see how often Jordan Love does things like that. And also how much trust that Matt LaFleur puts in him to do things like that. Okay. So we're going to roll into our preview segments here. So Simon, give me your matchup to watch for Packers-Eagles on Friday night.
Yeah, it's definitely our secondary versus the Eagles wide receiver core. They have a really good 1-2-3. Jahan Dotson played about 40% of the slot snaps in the slot last year with Washington. So I'm kind of expecting maybe him and Devontae Smith to kind of interchange there. But that top three has got to be one of the best in the league, if not the best. I'm sure you could make some arguments. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Eric Stokes handles being that outside cornerback too, and how Keyshawn Nixon maybe picks it up a little bit in the slot, or whoever interchanges in that like nickelback slot role.
Jason said that he thinks that Jordan Love is going to win the MVP, or he believes that Jordan Love is going to win the MVP.
I think he has a good shot.
It's in the realm of possibility. Absolutely. Just believe it can happen. We believe it can happen. I don't think that we're necessarily like all in like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We don't usually deal like in super absolutes like that. But it's within the realm of possibility of things that can happen.
Yep.
Okay. Bryant, what is your matchup to watch on Friday night?
So my matchup to watch is actually Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark versus Mekhi Becton. So the Eagles have very good offensive line, but the right guard position is of question. Becton came from the Jets as a struggling tackle and didn't play all that well there, and he's making the change to guard. Becton is huge; he's a big dude, but Casey and Wyatt, one of the things they do amazingly is their get off on the ball. There's a couple times where like, was Wyatt like offsides there? No, he's just that fast off the ball. So I think it's going to allow Green Bay to get some quick interior pressure and get up the middle. So I'm interested to see how Mekhi Becton works out at guard, So, and I think that Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt are going to give him everything he can handle this game.
Justin said he hopes that Quay Walker shows out this year, but also keep his emotions in check. I think he was fine with that last year.
Yeah,
he could really put our defense over the top. Jake has actually brought this up a couple times that this could be kind of a make or break year for Quay Walker. And Reggie said Lucas Van Ness 10 plus sacks this year. Would love to see it. If that's something that happens, the Packers defense is going to go crazy.
Dude, it means we're going to be killing people and they're going to have to pass. That's what that means.
Yeah, and that just means that less attention can be paid to Rashawn Gary, which is only going to mean bad things for our opponents.
Yep. That's
okay. Jake, what's your matchup to watch?
Yeah, so I didn't look up the numbers like Brian did, so thanks for the context on my matchup here. But I have the linebackers versus the run game, as I put it, but it really is Hurts and Barkley. Barkley, one of the biggest signings of the offseason, and Hurts ran all over us last game. I didn't remember the numbers, but I just remember feeling like, Jesus Christ, is this hell ever going to end for me? Is every team in the NFL going to run for records against my defense for the rest of eternity? I remember being very sad and depressed after that game. But, you get over it. So hopefully in this new defense, the linebackers play much better and they stop the run, because that's going to be one of the keys to this defense this year.
So I went super vanilla and I picked the Packers wide receivers against the Eagles secondary. It was kind of touched on a little bit already. But looking at it, the Eagles did lose James Bradbury. He's not one of their starters, but he is one of their depth defensive backs. So they do still have C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship as their two starting safeties, but they're essentially their third safety. James Bradbury, who Christian Watson was so fast that he made him look slow. That's their third safety is out. And then Bryant brought up their two young corners, their rookie cornerbacks, being Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So seeing how second year and third year wide receivers can take advantage of rookie cornerbacks with Jordan Love, who we've all just discussed, we believe can be an MVP candidate, how the Packers can take advantage of the Eagles secondary. Christopher, hello, welcome. Justin said, got to stop the tush push. And Jason said, Gary is going to have 18 sacks this year. So we're just getting all the sacks.
Tush push is going to be different without Kelsey. That's the real thing that's going to be different without Kelsey.
Yeah. Don't forget, the thing is, their center now played guard next to Kelsey for a few years, so he's got that experience and a little bit of stuff. So I don't know that, I'm sure he probably learned behind him, calling out schemes and blocking and all that kind of stuff. We'll see though. I mean, Jason Kelsey was, he's a Hall of Fame center. So when you lose someone like that, there's a step down. And when you're playing KC and Wyatt and TJ Slayton, who's showing the ability to get off the ball really fast too, you're playing, those front three are so quick off the ball that I have a feeling there will be at least a couple plays this game that they just beat them off the snap. And Jalen Hurts will have to be getting rid of the ball real quick. So
I'd be really interested to see if they put Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt just in the A gaps on top of the center and just make him go like this. Like, shit, what do I do? What do I go for?
Remember, I said this 2 weeks ago or last week. LVN has experience at defensive tackle, so I would not be shocked in the 4-3 defense if we see a lineup with LVN in between Gary and Clark, and that is going to be a problem for offensive line.
I will keep an eye on that to see if that happens. Justin said DeJean was the lowest graded at his position in the preseason.
It was.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
He's a very talented player. I expect that.
Yeah. Okay. Wes said, hoping Greg Joseph is the one. I hope he's not the one. I hope Braden Narvison is the one. Greg Joseph was cut. Jason said the Packers need to stop the running game, and I think they beat the Eagles. I mean, tale as old as time. We're looking for the Packers to stop the run.
Sad day.
We can go into X factors.
No doubt about it. I'm ready to be hurt again.
Yeah,
right. X factor. Sorry, I'm still looking up that thing. X factor. I got Quay Walker versus Saquon and Hurts. I mean, Jake already pretty much spilled the beans on that one, so I'm not gonna overhype it.
Very good. Brian, who's your X factor?
Yeah, mine's Xavier McKinney. We have a safety that's a stud on this offense, our defense now. I think his coverage ability, he was the highest graded coverage safety in the NFL last year. His coverage, according to PFF, coverage ability and experience against the Eagles wide receivers in particular, I think will be key in stopping the Eagles from beating us down the field and may allow us to play more people close to the line of scrimmage to mitigate Jalen Hurts' scrambling, and that's where I kind of think where he's going to play key. Xavier might be closer to the line on some of those plays. It sounds like he gets to make that decision, but I could see Hafley being like, "Hey Xavier, I need you in the back, help these cornerbacks out, so we can play someone like Javon Bullard or Evan Williams up closer to the line of scrimmage. They're going to help spy, our help on Saquon and Jalen Hurts." So I think his ability back in the backfield is going to, help a lot.
Jake, who's your X factor?
His name is Josh Jacobs. He is replacing an all-time Mount Rushmore Packers fan favorite Hall of Famer. Everybody loves Aaron Jones. Nobody dislikes Aaron Jones. You can't dislike Aaron Jones because he's
Cowboys fans probably don't like him. But
but as a person, he's like the best dude. Like he's a great guy off the field. He's a great player.
Aaron Jones hurt you.
I went over it before how offense, transformed when he was, on another level, how much better it made everybody. And I think the Packers look at Josh Jacobs and think that he's going to be that too. We need him to be 2022 version of Josh Jacobs where he's running people over, catching the ball, and hopefully scoring touchdowns through the air as well.
Yeah, Jason said his X factor is also Josh Jacobs. My X factor for this game on Friday night, I went with an Eagle. I went with Jalen Hurts. If the Packers can contain him in the run game and obviously the passing game, I don't think he's an overly talented passer. I think a lot of his ability to be successful in the passing game stems off of teams worrying about his ability to run. So if the Packers can contain him in the running game, I think they can make him kind of one-dimensional as a passer, and I think that is the most beneficial route for the Packers to go, is to force him to be a passer and not a runner. Now, with that, I think that's where you put the Eagles. Obviously, they have talented wide receivers, so they still have to be covered. But I just think that Jalen Hurts is more easily exploited as a passer than a runner. Justin said we get to hate Aaron Jones twice a year now. Hey, I'll cheer for him the other 15 weeks, just not against us.
I just hope he gets, I don't know, the runs those weeks, and not the good kind. Out the games. I don't want him hurt or nothing. I just don't want to play him against us. So,
alrighty then. All right, so Bryant, what are some injury designations that we should be watching for on Friday night?
Yeah, so there's not too many crazy ones, but there's a couple interesting ones. The Lloyd, the hamstring, Simon mentioned that it was planned, so he did not practice today. We'll have to see what he does in the walkthrough. Emmanuel Wilson, his hip was out limited with the hip. Romeo Dobbs limited with the hand. Cooper limited with the hip, and then Carrington Valentine was limited with his hamstring. The couple that are kind of a little concerning there are the running backs, right? So for whatever reason, Emmanuel Wilson or Lloyd cannot go, they're gonna have to call someone up from the practice squad, and that puts us pretty thin at running back. And then the hamstring with Carrington, that's never good. But then Matt LaFleur did say, someone mentioned one of the reporters asked, for a wide receiver, hand must not be very good. He's like, well, yeah, they kind of, we teach hands, to catch with your hands here, or at least we're encouraging. And he kind of gave a snarky comment, but we'll see how he does. I mean, he's limited, so hopefully, I don't know what the only, explanation was hands. So if it's too bad, then he might not be able to play, and that would be not great to not have Dobbs. But I think he'll play. And then the Eagles didn't really have anything missing. Obviously they lost James Bradbury, but everyone else is limited. Our veterans rest. So we really need to watch out what happens with the walkthrough on Thursday, because they're flying tomorrow, and they'll have a walkthrough on Thursday and go from there.
Alrighty. Jake, what does the weather look like in Brazil on Friday night?
Yeah, so it's pretty weird. When I looked it up, it was like 90, 90, 87, 90, 90, high humidity. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I expected when I looked up Brazil. But then you look at night, because this game's happening at nighttime, people. And it just looks like a beautiful Midwestern night. 60, close to 60 degrees, low around 60, overcast. Winds east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour with 92% humidity. So, I mean,
that does sound like a Midwest night.
That's not bad, dude. That sounds like a nice, comfortable night for the Packers to beat the shit out of the Eagles. So I'm in.
All right. So as we always do, if you're new watching this year, we always do 2 score predictions. We do one from the head, one from the heart. The head score prediction is the more analytical one, and then the heart is more the optimistic, if everything goes right, score prediction. So Simon, give me your score prediction from the head.
All right. While you guys were talking, for the most part, I was looking up the thing. So there was 4 teams in the league last year that had targeted 7 or more players every week.
So obviously the Packers are one, right?
Yeah, the Packers are one.
And then the Chiefs were one.
The Chiefs were one.
Name the other 2.
All right. What is the most
Just
surprising?
Tell me if they're AFC or NFC. I'm into this.
One's in the NFC, one is in the AFC.
Surprising in the NFC.
Buccaneers.
No, the surprise is in the AFC.
The Buccaneers is one of them.
Not the Raiders.
The Ravens.
The Bucs wasn't one.
Steelers.
Titans.
No, it was the Patriots.
Oh,
Dang.
wow.
And
they didn't have any.
Seattle was the other one.
Seattle.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Damn. I was going to say that's a joke, but never mind.
So the way I did it is I sorted by game and PFF, and then I went to week 1 and just looked through every game. And as soon as I saw 6, I just went to the next team.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was the fastest way I could think to do it. Anyways, no one listening probably cares that I did that, but I did.
But, hey, being in the group with 4 other teams, that shows that's pretty, and one of them's, the Chiefs, who are very explosive. So
running the ball around.
All right. This might be, looking at our schedule, this might be like one of the hardest games to predict. With going into week 1, a lot of unknowns on both teams. Man, I couldn't come up with who would win, but I have a score. I think it's going to be super close. I think this might be kind of a cop out too. It's going to be 23-24. I think it's going to be a dogfight. Who wins this?
Bro, the cop out is not picking a team, you coward.
You gotta pick a team.
I couldn't pick one.
Pick it. Come on, pick the team.
I think the Packers have the edge. I think 2 new coordinators being brought in is in week 1. It just screams like I don't know what to expect out of the Eagles. I think they have a lot of firepower on their offense. And I think they have some really deep question marks on their defense.
Okay. Bryant, what do you think from the head?
I have the Packers winning 23-20.
All right. Jake,
Nice.
what do you think from the head?
All right. I have 27-24 Green Bay with Narvison hitting a game winner as time expires.
That'd be sick.
Fucking call it, baby. Call it. Hey, dude.
Hey,
This guy,
no way.
bro, I have it written on the page. This guy,
He's
dude. Wes, hey, I like it. I like it.
Well, you guys are best friends now.
yeah. You have to
Okay.
be. You have to
So,
be.
Jason said 35-21.
Damn, man.
If that's the
All
head
right.
prediction. I love that. My score prediction from the head, I have just same margin to victory as a lot of you guys, but Wes is super excited. Same margin to victory. I just have a little bit higher scoring. I have Packers 30, Eagles 27. I think both of these teams have pretty good offenses and question mark defenses.
That's fair.
So let's go score predictions from the heart. The more optimistic, everything goes right prediction. Simon, what is your prediction from the heart?
Did
I
you pick
have
a team
30.
with this one?
Yeah, I did. The Packers
Oh.
win 30-21.
I like it. Bryant from the heart,
31-21 Packers.
31-21. I like it. Jake from the heart.
Okay. I have 34-24 Green Bay.
Ooh, I have 33-24 Green Bay.
Let's go.
Justin said from the head 24-21 Packers, from the heart 34-13. Man, I would
Yeah,
love to
whooping
beat
on
the
the
hell out of
Eagles.
34-13. That would be fun.
Ooh, that would be sick.
And then Jason said 35-21 from the head and 35-10 from the heart. Man, I would love your guys' predictions to happen.
Yeah.
Dude, 35-10 would be disgusting. You understand
I might-
how mood
I
I
might
would
join-
be on Friday? Oh,
If it's going that way, I might join the watch party at halftime.
It's one of those things where, like, as we preface when we started the beginning of the show, we're like, it's week 1, like we can't, make the whole season long predictions based on the first week of the season. But if Packers win 35-10, it's going to be really hard to not do that. Okay, last segment we have. We do this every week. It's Simon Says. We essentially come up with one bold prediction on each side of the ball, and we feed them to Simon, and Simon gives us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on if he thinks they can happen. So Bryant probably has more than 2 because he likes to be like that. So Bryant, I'm just going to go to you first, and you can give us your first Simon Says.
All right. Well, you guys kept talking about it, but we predicted he'll finally get one. So my bold prediction was that Josh Jacobs finally gets his first career NFL receiving touchdown.
Let's go.
That should-
I
that
think
shouldn't
it's
be
gonna
a
happen
bold thing
sooner
to say
rather
that a
than
running
later.
back
Me and my
gets a
buddy
routine.
at work, Craig, were talking about it. He's like, well, he watched our stat prediction show. He's like, that'd be a good one. Get it out of the way right away. And I was like, yep, that's a good bold prediction right there. Let's knock it out right
I
away.
dig it. I think it's
Don't
going to happen
17.
sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Yeah, especially if there's less health in the backfield.
Yeah.
Jake, what is your offensive Simon Says?
Mine also deals with Josh Jacobs, but he has 75 more yards than Barkley at the end of the game. Total yards. 75 more total yards at the end of the game.
Interesting.
Oh, man, I don't know about that one. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Game's worth, dude.
That would mean that we possess the ball a lot more than that, which would mean we
If
would
it's
stop the run.
35-10, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's fair.
If it's 35-10, everything that's happening in the comments is happening too. Because Jason said Josh Jacobs gets 2 receiving touchdowns,
Yes.
and Justin said Jaden Reed throws a touchdown. So maybe
Does he
he's
throw it
throwing
to Josh
one.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Bro, if Jaden Reed throws a touchdown to Josh Jacobs, dude, I might go streaking outside. I'm serious.
Jason and
Hey,
Justin win a
He
prize.
said
if
it
that
on
happens.
camera. So
Hey, that one guy said he was going to eat dog shit if FSU lost, and we can't find him anymore. So
Oh, he deleted his Twitter account.
I know he deleted everything. They're talking to his
How
fiance
about
now.
being the most overrated team coming into the college?
yikes.
You see they're unranked
I
now?
was thankfully that it didn't happen, but I remember I said something would happen that I would run around with my shirt off outside in the middle of January, and I'm glad that didn't happen.
Just come up to Alaska before you do it.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
It was only negative
What's
50
going on up
out.
there?
It was only negative 50 out.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. That sounds great. Anyway, for the Packers on the offensive
So,
side of the ball.
anyway.
For bold Simon Says prediction this week, I have Watson for 2 touchdowns.
I would love that. I want Watson to ball out so bad.
Yeah.
I just want him to stay healthy and have an incredible year. Yeah, I'm down. I think that could happen.
I will
I like
say his dad will become insufferable on
Oh
Twitter.
no, I would follow. Like I would turn
We'll be
on
his hype man.
notifications
I'm down
first.
for it.
Oh no, I absolutely love his dad on Twitter. He just bodies people, but like, man, he would become a problem.
He would be my favorite person on Twitter if that happened.
That'd be awesome. Jason said if Josh Jacobs gets 2 receiving touchdowns, let me come on your show. We'll
Deal.
talk. We'll talk. We can figure something out. So let's go to defense. Brian, give your defensive Simon Says.
Okay, I kind of foreshadowed this a little bit with talking about Devontae Wyatt and Kenny Clark. I put the Packers get 5 sacks, including 2 from Devontae Wyatt.
I like Devontae Wyatt a lot this year. I think he's gonna feast. I'm down.
Oh, if they get 5 sacks, dude, holy hell! You give me a thumbs up or thumbs down to that, Simon?
Oh yeah, sorry. That's what I'm
He's
down.
spoken the affirmative.
It's okay, I forgive you.
All right, Jake, give me your defensive one.
All right, so we all know Barkley likes to give the ball up. We all know Jalen Hurts had a bad year last year, giving the ball up. 3 turnovers for the Packers defense.
Can I just lump mine in before you give a thumbs
Yeah.
up or thumbs down on this one? Because I
You
also
say
have a
4?
turnover one. I have
Yeah.
Nice.
I have an interception and a forced fumble.
Oh yeah, I'm down
Ooh.
for both of those. I think
Um,
I would. It'd be so awesome if Philly just went in and just sucked.
Oh my god! If there's a fan base that deserves it, it's definitely Philly, dude.
One of the
Tyler and I
one
are
of
gonna
the
be
PLs I
dealing
work
the
with.
Sixers all year. Oh god, it's gonna be insufferable.
One of the PLs I work with is from Philly, so he's a diehard Eagles fan. I would talk so much trash.
Does he just talk all day and say nothing?
He does. He talks a lot.
Yeah.
And then if we end up beating them, they won't want to talk all of a sudden. They'll have all
Yeah,
this-
right. Like, no, man.
I would bring him a bag of dog shit and be like, "Here you go, bro."
This was Jalen Hurts on Friday night.
Or no, it was horse poop, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's horse.
It was horse poo. The
Dude,
guy that
poop
ate
is
it.
poop, dude. Poop is poop.
Whatever. Yeah, I'll find a horse. Whatever. Someone's got one around here.
Yeah, moose.
Moose close enough.
Same difference. Bear, whatever. Okay. All right, Simon. Did you have any that you wanted to throw out at all, or no?
I think my bold prediction is Packers win by 3 touchdowns.
Oh my. goodness.
Oh, so one of those 31-10s that somebody threw.
Yeah,
out in the
35-10, whatever.
Yeah, 35-10, 30. Yeah, no field goals, all touchdowns.
They all
Okay,
give us one
Brian,
vote.
did you say you had a bonus one yet?
I did, and someone also kind of talked about it. I put the Packers win the game on a 50-plus yard field goal from the new kicker.
Hell yeah.
A
That'd be
50
sick.
Dude, if he makes like a 55-yarder to win, oh man.
Yeah.
People are gonna see a different side
He's
of it.
if that happens, he's instantly on like Jeff Janis level, like
Oh yeah.
Jared Abadaris
Love that.
in the
Love
in the
that.
swing of the leg.
Love that. All right. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. I just want to give another reminder. If you are interested, you can find Wisco Fanatics on Patreon. We are doing a watch party for Friday night's game. It's $5 a month. You get 2 Wisconsin sports games per month that Jake and I and potentially Simon Bryant and Mike, who joins us for Badgers. Justin said he's parlaying all these bold predictions. Let us know how that works for you.
I don't know about all that.
$5 on all of them.
What do you think
if
the odds
win
are?
all of them, you get $5,000. Like, that'd be fun.
500,000.
If they all hit, you have to give us half your cut. Again, find us on Patreon. We will be doing a watch party for this. It's $5 a month. 2 Wisconsin sports games. We get all dressed up and we make it look like we're in the studio for a 30-minute pregame show, and then we watch the whole game, so you can watch the games with us and see kind of what we're watching for and how we are during the games. So that's Patreon, and it's just one of those things where it's going to, the more people we get to subscribe to the Patreon, it's going to help us get to a point where we can do this show for our careers, for our full-time jobs, and that's what we're trying to do. So Join us over on Patreon on Friday night. Other than that, Jake and I will be back tomorrow with Mike. We will be discussing the last week of Brewers games, as well as the Badgers Friday night season opener for Badgers football, and we'll be previewing their game against South Dakota. So that'll be tomorrow at 4. So join us for that. Other than that, we will see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks for jumping in. Thanks for all the comments, and go Pack Go.
Go Pack
Go Pack Go.
Let's go, baby.